Unfortunately, we have a second case of Zika on the island. On Sunday, February 21st, a second case of Zika was confirmed. This case involves a tourist from the Netherlands. This tourist arrived in St. Martin on February 3rd and departed on February 10th. The person was staying for vacation in the Don Beach Estates area, but has also traveled to a neighboring island for the day during that stay. It wasn't until February 13th, 3 days after arriving in the Netherlands, that the patient began exhibiting some symptoms, was tested, and was tested positive for Zika. Some details on the first case. This was a patient that was diagnosed by Dr. Buss on February 3rd. The person resides in the Saunders area. The Collective Preventive Services Department did visit the house of the person and did identify that there were a number of breeding sites around the house, including the lid from a toolbox that had mosquito larvae inside, 2 paint cans that had larvae inside, a styrofoam container in the yard, plastic plate with water with larvae inside, and 2 soda cans with larvae inside. So it does go to emphasize that the steps in terms of removing mosquito breeding grounds is critical, and it also indicates that somehow we're not getting our message out as clearly as possible, or at least that the public needs to take it a little bit more seriously. There's also a report being generated on the location by Don Beach Estates, but that report's still not ready as of yet. I have taken the initiative to contact, there's 3 homeowners associations in the area around Don Beach Estates, and I'm organizing a meeting between them and CPS for next week. And the idea is to help to educate them in terms of preventative measures, what they could be doing. So the CPS, because we are with limited amount of staff, will be making an effort to work with the homeowners associations to go through the neighborhood together with them, helping them to identify what types of preventative measures they could take and help them to identify what things to look for. Things like, as in the first case, garbage in the area that are presenting clear breeding grounds. It's important for the public to remember that the Zika virus may be present with few or no symptoms. In general, the symptoms are mild, flu-like symptoms. They're short-lasting. They may have symptoms similar to dengue or chikungunya, such as conjunctivitis, fever or rash over the body, joint and muscle pains. These are some indicators that if you do feel these symptoms, it's a good idea to visit your doctor. We have established a hotline. This is it's a smartphone. So now this is a phone number 550-CALL or 550-2255. So because it's a smartphone rather than an office number, now the possibility is there for you to send pictures via WhatsApp. And we find that this is an important tool because we are shorthanded in the office, in the CPS. It allows the department to prioritize which sites are more critical to visit first. What we are finding is that many of the complaints that we're receiving are related to septic water problems in the neighborhood. And as I've visited many of these sites myself, it's clear that there's a septic issue. But septic issues, while they're also health hazard issues of a different sense rather than from the Zika virus or mosquito breeding sense, the solutions for those really are VROMI solutions. So when we come to problems where we find it's a septic problem and not a mosquito breeding ground problem, because they're structural in nature, we are referring them to VROMI. So by being able to send WhatsApp photos of the particular situation, it allows the ministry to be better prepared for which sites to visit first, how to prioritize them. Like I said, I'm certainly not playing down the significance of septic water in our neighborhoods that's not being treated, not being dealt with properly. It's simply a different topic than the mosquito issue itself. So we do ask that when you contact us at the phone number 550-2255, that you provide us with as much accurate information as possible. Photos, obviously, are very helpful. The second topic I'd like to speak about briefly is that we met with the Nature Foundation, with Mr. Tazio Bervuz, to discuss environmental solutions for fighting mosquitoes on the island. We presented to him one of our models for the ovitraps. The one we presented to him is a non-lethal ovitrap method. We've actually just received this week a shipment of lethal ovitraps on the island. The difference in those is the non-lethal version has no pesticides. The lethal version does have a pesticide. So we've imported a shipment of the lethal ovitraps, and we will be testing them in a neighborhood. So we've decided to pick one neighborhood for our first test run, and that will launch this weekend. It was encouraging that the Nature Foundation is supportive of our approach. They find that by not spraying pesticides into the environment, that's beneficial. One of the things that we've found, for example, with fogging is that it's not particularly effective. And one of the issues is that by spraying the chemicals into the environment, we're also creating mosquitoes that are actually more pesticide resistant. So there's a caution about how we're proceeding with fogging. So the lethal ovitraps is something that he's endorsed. And the other thing that he's presented to us actually is a bat house. You can see it in the photo for the viewers who are looking by television. So bats are actually one of St. Martin's only native mammals. But because of the development on the island, and because most people don't like bats in their houses or in their attics, their habitats have been destroyed to a large extent. But actually, bats consume a lot of mosquitoes. They're predators. They eat a lot of insects on the island, and so it is a natural way of keeping the mosquito population lower. So what he's presented to us are actually bat houses that are mounted outside of the house, so that way you don't have them obviously inside the house where there are pests. So the idea is that they live outside. So by building the bat houses, we create habitats for them to replace the habitats that have been destroyed by developments on the island. And the hope of that is to increase the natural bat population on the island to naturally bring down the mosquito population. And I think what this really reinforces is that the war against mosquitoes and their breeding grounds is going to be fought on multiple levels, including an environmentally responsible level. And as a good example of interministerial cooperation, as a result of our meeting, we then asked Minister Jacobs to come in from an educational perspective. And what we're working on is a collaborative effort where the plans have been provided to us by the Nature Foundation. We are soliciting businesses to provide the materials for building bat houses, and then we will encourage the vocational students to actually construct them so that these will be built by the schools and sold locally on the island. And I think this is a great example of how ministries...
This morning, I would like to take the opportunity to bring forward some positive messages from the Ministry of Education, as well as from the field which I support. Firstly, let me just say that after a long trek that we're seeing a positive movement in the situation with the NEPA, with the School Board for Advanced Vocational Education. Over the past 2 weeks, I've met with the stakeholders, who are the ones that appoint the board members, as well as the remaining board members of the NEPA. The meetings were very, very fruitful. All of us, I must say, have been pointing our heads in the same direction in terms of finding viable solutions. During the meeting, it was brought forward that now 4 members in total from the 7-member board have resigned. All of the stakeholders have received the correspondence from the board, the remaining members, on reappointing having their new representatives appointed to the board. During this meeting, we received an update on the composition, as well an overview of the urgent and pending matters at the institution, including court cases. Also discussed and debated was the procedure for the appointment of the new members and the preparation of a transfer plan and document so that that transition can be as seamless as possible. The transfer plan and document are extremely important to facilitate this smooth transition and to ensure proper accountability and continuity. This document should include, but not be limited to, an overview of all the procedures, policies, synopsis of all personnel matters, court cases, ongoing matters, an organogram of the institution, copies of all relevant and important documents, etc. The current members, furthermore, which is very, very important, express their willingness in a very positive manner to remain available to assist and guide the new members during the transition period. Finally, a resignation schedule was discussed, and it was decided that the new board members would meet with the outgoing board on March 5th, and during this meeting, that the credentials of the incoming members would be verified by the board, and after which then the board would submit their resignation. All stakeholders, so the ones that have the opportunity to appoint members to the board, are reminded that CV and resume must be submitted with cover letter of their proposed candidate before March 1st, 2016. The stakeholders are reminded to ensure that all the proposed candidates meet the profile and criteria for board members and that they are willing to dedicate their time, energy, and expertise needed to turn around this vital institution. So as I stated before, it was a very cordial, respectful, and friendly atmosphere where the various stakeholders and board members had the opportunity to discuss the challenges currently being faced at the NEPA and to exchange ideas on the way forward. As Minister, I would hereby like to extend my gratitude to all who have contributed in one way or another to resolving this crisis. There's a lot of work to be done, and I must say, many have stepped up and have put forward themselves as advisors and giving assistance in helping this institution to reach its potential in providing vocational education to our students. It was really brought to the fore when the representatives of the high schools, which usually feed this institution and previously ran these institutions within their high schools, felt that especially their students could stand to benefit the most, as we have large VSBO schools on the island, which would then become feeder schools, or should be then the feeder schools for the NEPA. So we're looking forward to positive turnaround where this is concerned, and it gives us a ray of hope in terms of all the stakeholders having the same goals in mind and are willing to work towards achieving this. Also, the Student Support Services Division of the Ministry of Education recently hosted a teacher support program. This was concluded, the first phase was concluded with the public elementary schools, the Hillside Christian School, and the Seventh-day Adventist School. The teacher support program is an ongoing or on-the-job training for elementary teachers. However, the support staff and management also participated. The training was facilitated by Mrs. Gibbs, who is a special needs specialist from Barbados, and it provided appropriate instruction for students with special needs. This program involved classroom observations during the morning hours, and workshops were conducted in the afternoons. Meetings were also held with the school management and care teams. All of this with the expected outcome that the teachers will be better able to identify, accommodate, and differentiate instruction for those students experiencing learning difficulties in the classroom. Student Support Services Division is the referral point for many schools on St. Martin. Some services include psychological services, counseling, social work, educational diagnostic services, career guidance services, speech therapy services, and parent education. The motto of this division falls neatly within the ministry's motto, and it says that every child must learn. If every child must learn, then every parent, family, and community must be a part of the process. So I really commend the division for executing this workshop, and I look forward to seeing the other phases implemented as we continue to face many challenges within our schools. The sports department, in an update from the sports department. There are ongoing youth tournaments and competitions, specifically the Inter-Insular is a yearly school competition which is held in the Dutch Caribbean, and St. Martin has for the first time been invited to take part in this year's competition. The department sees that this is a great opportunity to not only develop school sports, promote team spirit and participation and pride in oneself, but also to provide the opportunity to the student athletes to participate on a regional level. The student athletes will be leaving from the Princess Juliana Airport on March 10th, 2016. That will be an elementary team of basketball players and a secondary team of female volleyball players. So the basketball players are males, and female players, that's under 13, and female players are secondary high school students. These competitions are ongoing, and so as soon as we have the championships schools, then you will know who will be representing St. Martin in Curacao in March, upcoming, the 13th. Also, the sports department is currently compiling a calendar of events. As I've mentioned before, we really, as a department, need to know what is going on in the community. And so the department has made a connection with the associations to be able to put a sporting calendar together, which will be shared with the various organizations and highlight all sports competitions and events. This way, we're able to keep abreast, and then we can do what we need to do as government to support these initiatives. We expect that this will be issued, this calendar will be ready at the beginning of March as well. A third event that is soon to be executed is the secondary interscholastic sports Olympiad, which is a competition now for the third year running between the secondary schools, and 5 sports will be executed: soccer, volleyball, basketball, track and field, and swimming, and 10 schools are expected to take part. Also representing St. Martin, I must highlight, is the swimming national team. This team of 8 swimmers have been chosen, and St. Martin Aquatic Federation has been recently added to the FINA, I believe. FINA is a International World Swimming Federation, and now that the St. Martin Federation is a part of it, we can participate as a country. And so 8 swimmers will be going to Martinique on the 22nd of March as well. So we're looking out to be able to support these athletes and the associations in going out there and representing St. Martin. There are several other initiatives, but they will come online, and as you visit our sports Facebook page, you'll be able to see the current events, what's upcoming, and you can look out for that calendar as well. Many of you were on the field on Sunday, but several who, I thought we had the welcoming, we had a press conference here, as well as Sunday's event for Mr. Casey Carty, yet people met me and they were like, we didn't get an opportunity. So I would just like to highlight my thanks, firstly, to the Cricket Association, to the persons that brought Casey Carty to our attention in December, to Nagico Insurances for their business initiative, for being that partner in promoting sports on St. Martin, but more specifically cricket. And I would like to say that in keeping with the ministry's vision to encourage young people to excel, that the government of St. Martin also pledged a scholarship, a talent scholarship to Casey, which was presented to him in the form of a certificate, but this has been actually done by ministerial administrative decision, and this is a pledge of a $20,000 scholarship maximum for 5 years. So not only do we find it important that this young man can excel in his sport, but we would like to make sure that he can also have all opportunities as a student athlete to study and become what he wants to become. So we're very proud to be able to promote him, and we will continue to promote all athletes on St. Martin. I think, though, everyone understands that the special attention that was paid to this young man, Mr. Carty, is because of the international acclaim that he has received. I mean, it is not every day we can turn on ESPN and hear the name of St. Martin mentioned on a daily basis. Every day it is still being called, and up to 250 million viewers, I understand, viewed that match. Lastly, I would like to before I go to my last point, corroborate with the Minister of ASR that we have several areas in which we are collaborating, and that this event with the boxes, the habitats for the bats, when I first heard of it, of course, as I'm not usually very female with insects, but when I see bats, I think I react in the usual way. And so, as a natural way of solving that problem, I look forward to further collaboration with the ministry in terms of being able to provide the St. Martin Vocational Training School students with the materials to construct these houses. I think maybe the impression some may have that is they're large, but they're pretty small. They're little houses like this, so you won't have a horde of bats in your yard. Also, in collaboration with Ministry of ASR, we would really like to promote parenting. And allowing parents the opportunity to visit their schools. And this is something I've discussed previously within the Ministry of ASR, and I know that the law provides for that. But we, in promoting education, we need the collaboration of the business community in allowing parents the opportunity to visit their children's school upon demand, or you can say, or even as a preventative measure. Being able to volunteer in the schools and the like. So these are also discussions that we will try to formalize moving forward so that parents can feel at ease in knowing that they are not in peril of losing their jobs when they have to fulfill their duties as parents with the schools. All of this in a collaborative effort as a community to meet the needs of our students. So now lastly, today we're hosting, assisting the Hyacinth Richardson Educational Awareness Foundation, who is hosting the 4th annual Leeward Islands debating competition right here on St. Martin. The debaters from around the region will be received in a cocktail reception this evening at the Maho, hosted by the Ministry of Education. It is a great opportunity, I believe. We have highlighted our moot court representatives, but it is another opportunity, I believe, for us right here on St. Martin to see our intellectual students in action, and another way of promoting our youth. This is a competition that has been going on since 2005. In 2009, St. Martin participated for the first time, and we have had good successes as well. We've had runner-ups on 2 occasions. We've had best speakers as well as overall best speakers. And seeing the lineup of speakers, local speakers that we have, I expect great things. Camilla Gums and Dwayne Griffith, 2 of the speakers. One is a current Youth Parliament, St. Martin Youth Parliament president, and the other, Dwayne Griffith, is the past president. So those of you who may have followed those debates would know the speaking ability of this young man. They both wear various hats in diverse areas within the society. We also have a USM student, Alexandria Bailey Stanford, and she is a force to be reckoned with. We have 2 of the students who represented in the moot court in the Netherlands, Harsha Parshani and Haley Grayo. We know that they both did excellently. Haley was the backup at the time, so we might get to actually see her in action this time, but served a very good purpose according to the press conference I held with them recently in supporting the team. So we look forward to that. And last but not least, we have Deshanae Matthew York. Many may only know her from the Queen Show venue, but in these shows, her speaking ability has always been one of the main reasons that she has excelled. So St. Martin, look out for our representatives. This will be held at Maho from the 25th, starting, I believe, tomorrow until the 28th. I believe that they deserve as much support as any athlete or any other, youth that is out there shining. And we are happy as a ministry to be able to support this initiative of the Hyacinth Richardson Educational Foundation. So with that, I will take my leave and await any questions. Thank you very much.
Minister Kirudango, last week a dangerous prisoner escaped from prison guards. I asked you yesterday, and I've been asking the prosecutor's office, and I've been trying terribly to get to the prison director, who seems missing in action. Even the acting police chief cannot be found. Can you tell us at this particular time, what is the police doing to find this dangerous person who escaped? And can you also tell me, at this point in time, you had 1 week of investigations as to how this prisoner escaped. Did you get an update? Can you tell us what's really going on this side of the island to recapture someone that escaped from prison guards?
Okay, good morning, colleagues, member of the press, viewers, listeners. At this moment, what has been done and what is going on this side of the island is the mobilization of the observation team. The crime investigation team is also mobilized. All patrol units has enough information to search for Mr. Fortune, and we are using the public information that is coming via the hotline, and we have to take care that the information that we have and what we can do only on this side of the border. Up to this moment, there is no information that Mr. Fortune has been seen on this side of the island. That doesn't mean he is not here, but if we're talking about information, we don't have that information at this moment. And from the part from the prosecutor officer, I received the following information, that since Mr. Fortune has been escaped from the prison, there is constant communication between Dutch side and the French side, the Dutch authorities and the French authorities. Last week, there was a search on the French side, and this search has taken place in cooperation with the Dutch authorities. The prosecutor office has issued different press release to the public with pictures of Mr. Fortune, and last Friday there was an additional press release with a detailed description of Mr. Fortune.